Hey y'all, welcome back to the Craft of Analog. I am Jason with Jason Neal Penworks. Hope y'all are doing well. I'm jumping on here tonight to share. I'm working on a new Graphlex material. Well, I was until I dropped it. Oh goodness. All right, there we go. Working with a new Graphlex material. Doesn't have a name. It's a mixture of several different colors. So it should be pretty cool. Kevin, what's going on? Hey. Thanks for jumping on. It's always good to not be talking to myself. It's usually what happens. I don't really get to schedule these things, so it's just kind of impromptu. So, cool. All right, we're going to jump straight into it. I apologize if my voice kind of cracks a little bit. I've been sick with allergies for about a month. And just finally getting over it, but that's why I haven't been able to stream lately, because I was just hacking. Well, here I go. Should have brought my water out here. Hacking and coughing and all kinds of goodness. In fact, I think I am going to get my water, so I will be right back. Let's see, can I do this? I think, there we go. I'm going to try and see how this works. I don't even know if that works. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, I can't tell, Kevin, if I had COVID or what, but it hit me for like a month. So I'm going to get my water and be right back. All right, there we go. I'm back. Hopefully I don't hack anything up. All right, we should be good. Geez, yeah, I know the flu's been going around. That's crazy. Hopefully, though, I mean, at least here we're starting to get into warmer weather. I'm hoping all the sickness is going to kind of go away. All right. What is that? Okay. So we're just going to jump right in. And get cracking. Not that fast, though. All right, here we go. Oh, cheery. Okay. There you go, guys. 101, make sure your tool rest is actually tightened down. That would have been sad and potentially painful. All right, now we're ready to go. Good. There we go. Goodness gracious. You'd think I hadn't done this in a while or something. I haven't been as active on, YouTube for sure, or Instagram. I've been kind of changing the way I do things, focusing more on doing one pin at a time and really getting the dimensions down, the quality of the finish down, what I want. So I used to crank out several pins in a week, but now I try to just focus on one or two. Because I've found that it seems to work better for me. So I'm going to bring this down. I'm working on the section right now. I'm going to bring the tenon down, and I actually want to see what the material looks like first. See what we're getting. Because it's got about, let's see, how many colors did I do? Different pigments. 2, 4, 5. It's got 7 different pigments in it. Should be interesting. It's looking pretty good. Yeah, the socials, man, it's tough. I used to be a lot more chained to the socials, trying to give the algorithms what they wanted, and I finally got to the point of, it's not worth it. I got into this to make pens and enjoy that. The socials were just kind of a second tier, whatever you want to call it. A little bit. I'm probably going to push it a little too far. Let's see. There we go. Cool. Wow, 7. What was 7? I don't remember 7. Did I say 7? It's been a long day at work, so I don't remember what 7 is. Oops. How do you get rid of that? Oh, let's see. Oh, well, whatever. I'm still trying to learn the hang of all this software and junk. All right, so that's the dimension I want in terms of the tenon. I'm going to start cutting it down now. It's actually pretty close. Yikes. A little carried away. Oh. How quickly I forget what I even said. Yes, 7 pigments. The most I've done on any material was, I think, 10. But it's really hard because it can be so warm here that I don't have enough time to actually pour the material. Bruce, how are you? Thanks for jumping on. We're just working on some Graphlex. It's a new color. I don't have a name for it. I'm probably going to run out of names because it's kind of a teal blue, which I already have one. But it's a mixture of 2 different kind of teal blues. My hope is that you're going to see a lot of layering and figuring beyond just, because normally it'll just have about 4 different pigments. But this one I did the 7 on a hunch. To see what happens. Yeah, you really do have to be quick, or it's got to be really cold in the shop, but then you risk a chance of it not curing. I had some blanks actually that I did over, it's last week, and it was really cold here anyway, cold for us. And I didn't think about it. I left them in the shop overnight. And I went to work with them over the weekend, and they were chipping apart because they hadn't cured fully. I think that's the diameter I want there. Yeah, it'll be good enough. So that's the main tenon. Then I'm going to cut a secondary one that I like to have that hides the coupler on the converter. Perfect. Yeah, Kevin, I didn't think so either. I actually had to look it up. I was like, man, these things are really soft. And I was looking up ideal temperature, and you want it to be about 70 degrees for it to cure, above 70. And I was like, oops, it was like 40 in the shop, so that wasn't good. So now I know. And now you know. Oops, too much. Oh well. It'll work. It's close enough. All right, let's do, what do I want next? So I'm just rounding the edges off just a little bit. I'll do most of that with the sanding later. But this one right here I like to do because it will help kind of lead in the threading. So it's not such a rough edge. And then now I'm going to cut in my reveal back, or relief rather, not a reveal. So it does have a little bit of a function, somewhat aesthetic. I don't really need it because I've got a shoulder that I cut into my body piece. That sounded weird. I don't really need this, but I like the look of it. There we go. Oops, I'm still not quite the diameter, a little bit more. That should do it. Will work. All right. So always protect your ways. Doesn't matter how you do it, just do it. What am I doing? There we go. So I'm going to use my tool holders and cut the threads on the section. I got this thing to try and be a little easier, but I found I'm wasting more oil than anything. I'm going to cut the threads. These are M11 by 1 thread. So I do work in all metric. That's the easiest in my opinion. I'm sure machinists out there will disagree, but if you noticed, I'm not using a metal lathe, so I'm technically not a machinist. Hopefully at some point I'll have a metal lathe, but not right now. All right, those are all good there. So we'll take our centering bit and get that thing started. Is that the right bit? So I'm going to drill far enough to where I can kind of start the hole on the other side so I have a centering point. And I get through on the front end. There we go. So as part of focusing on one pin at a time, I used to do a lot of bulk stuff and I don't anymore. So after each step, I switch to the next bit to get it going. So that's actually the end of that end, the end of the end. So that is a piece there. I wonder how close you can get. That's pretty close. Is that even focused? Nah, not really. Oh wow. Will that focus? You can kind of see. So I'm going to mark off the end. Ooh, not much left to mark off. Slide that. It's pretty good. Ooh, too fast. Pretty good. That'll work. Let's see, am I doing or going to any pinch stoves? So I was thinking of doing Arkansas, but there weren't any tables left, and then one came up this week actually, but I just don't have enough time to build up any stock to go. And then I was going to do Dallas because that's basically my home show, since Houston doesn't really have one. And couldn't get anyone to get back to me, and they finally got back to me, but they don't know if they're going to have any tables for new vendors. So that one's kind of probably not going to happen either in terms of vending. I'm going to still plan to go. And probably just bring whatever I have with me, build some pins and bring them with me. Probably not going to get to vend there because nobody's gotten back to me. And I got to have enough time. I mean, it's in September, so there is some time. But I just don't know if they're going to get back to me or not. So probably not. I'm also trying for the Houston Stationery Festival because that's something new that just started, but they won't get back to me either. So, well, I don't know. I'm kind of taking that as a sign that maybe I'm not supposed to do any pin shows this year. Eventually, the plan is, 20, 30 years down the road, when I get to start my second chapter. My first chapter right now is being an architect. Second chapter is hopefully going to be doing the pin show circuit more seriously. And also with my wife's work, she does, she's a therapist, but then also she's an artist as well. So we do it together and bring her artwork, my pens, and just go around and do that. And all kinds of fun. But, yeah. So I would like to, I've only done the Arkansas show a couple years ago. Couldn't do it previous years. My daughter was born. Come on, where's the oil? Come on. There we go. But then tried to get back in, like I said, and no can do. But I'm not worried about it. But eventually, I'm hoping we can do some more pin shows, actually get out there, which would be pretty sweet. But for now, this is what we're doing. All right, so the section is done. Still tight. So I got this section done. I'm going to blow some air through it, get it cleaned out. That's pretty good. So the nib is nice and flush, which is perfect. And so what you'll see here is this. I don't know what to do. There we go. So that piece right there is what I try to get to where it hides right inside, so you don't see it. So when you pull this out, yeah, you're never going to see it because it's in the pen, but if you have to pull it out for any reason, for inking and everything, I think it looks nice and clean to not have that shown. So that is the section. Now we're going to get in straight into the body. Keep going. My hope is to get this set up, get the threads polished. I don't have time to turn it on this live stream. I may stream again tomorrow and do the actual full process. I don't remember if I tightened this. I think I did. Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's see. Oh, that's cool. So you're gonna be going. So you were at the LA, and then you're gonna be at San Francisco. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's one. San Francisco is one I'd like to go to eventually, but that will not be until my second chapter, most likely. Just because of cost. Like I don't make enough volume to justify. I think last year I made a total of 60 pins. And I just don't have the time to commit to cranking out a bunch for a show. Plus, I don't really enjoy doing that either. I'd rather focus on the one that I have at hand. Than trying to crank through a bunch. I'm going to center drill this for the live center to sit into. Don't have to do a lot, just enough. So it'll hold it. Now we're gonna mark off. See, how's the family? You just basically had a new baby. We did. Well, I didn't have the baby. My wife did. I'm just kidding. I knew what you meant. Yeah, we did. So she's 15 months now. Almost. Gosh, she's gonna be 16 months pretty soon. So yeah, that changed things up a little bit. It took us about a year to get back into our art and all that goes with that. But she's doing great, super healthy, growing way too fast. She's already hit that stage where at night when we put her down to go to bed, she finishes her milk and then is like, nope, I'm done, put me in bed. Like, well, don't you want to snuggle? And she's like, nope, I'm out. Put me down. I want it in my bed, I want to go to bed. And so like, oh, bummer. Yeah, there you go. There's that two-tone. That's what I was wanting. There's two different colors. I don't know if you're probably not going to be able to see on the camera. Maybe if I get it there or something like that. Yeah, she literally is just like, nope, put me down. I want to go to bed. Like, okay. We got lucky because she went probably from 3 months old. She slept through the night. We're still exhausted every day, but take a little bit off. See if that's going to get us what we want. Perfect. So now I've got, I like to use 7mm for my threads here. That's kind of because these are single start threads. These are M15s. And so the single starts traditionally have more that you've got to turn the cap. That's not good. Yep. I think this is another one that didn't cure quite right. So I found for the singles 7mm for your cap threads here is just about perfect. You get about a turn and a half. So it feels like you're capping it quicker. But you get, I like the nice pronounced look of the single starts versus the triple starts. Oh, you have 5 kids? Oh my goodness. My brother has, how many does he have? I forget. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he's got 5 too. My younger brother. I don't know how he does it. And his range from 13 down to, I think, 4. He's got the full range. He didn't waste any time. He got married and they had lots of babies. But his wife comes from a big family, so that was kind of what they wanted to do, which is cool. All right, we're just about where I want it on the diameter. I just need to kind of take down a little bit. That's still loose. No. Oh man, come on. Still not there. 26 to 17. Wow. Yeah, we haven't decided if we're going to have more than one. We've enjoyed being able to have the one, but We kind of revisit it every now and then. Like, what do we want to do? If it's going to happen, it'll happen. Well, I'm being way too cautious here, but there we go. That should do it. I think that'll get me right where I want it. Perfect. Okay. So I've got that. So I'm going to, same thing as I did on the section. Kind of soften that edge, not too much, but just enough to receive the threads. And then I'm going to put a shoulder. Now this shoulder, I keep saying shoulder. This relief is really unnecessary, but I like the way it looks. So this one is truly aesthetic because I put a relief in the cap so that the threads will sit properly. It's kind of redundant, but I like the termination there better than just being flush. And I'm not a big fan of the square relief. I think this one looks better for the way I designed everything. I'm gonna go a little bit farther. Like, how far do you go before it's too far? Perfect. $44 and $35. Man, I've got a long way to go. Well, we waited like 15 years to have kids. Ow. Because I was in school for most of our early married life. So after I graduated, we were kind of like, no, we're going to take it easy. Well, easy. Like, we've never been ones to sit still. But we're going to take it slow. There we go. Yeah, I feel like this bottle is going to waste a lot more oil than it's actually going to save. It's convenient, but man, the control is not very good. Gosh. Good thing this stuff's not super expensive. My goodness. At least for now, anyway. Get the right one. Take it nice and easy. Because these are going to be visible. So you want them nice and clean and crisp. Beautiful. Yeah, I don't know if I guess it's true. I could clamp down on that hole to maybe tighten it. That's a good point. It's not terrible. I just don't like to waste stuff as much as I can. Here we are. I need like a backdrop so y'all can see what's going on. Maybe. Haven't quite figured that out. It's like I can't get the angle. There we go. That's better. So we've got that straight. There we go. Threads are all nice and cut. You can see some of the coloring. I think it's gonna be pretty slick. So now we're going to start on the inside. Leave that there. Yeah. Being cost effective is ideal. Because this hobby, profession, however you treat it, gets very expensive and very fast. I just don't even think about how much money I've spent on tooling over the years. You just don't even think about it. I'm already thinking about getting another pressure pot and molds just so I can do more at one time. I don't do a lot of volume of blanks, but I'll get ideas and things, and it's like, well, once I fill those two up, then I'm kind of done until they set. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have that same issue with this blank. It's really, really soft. I don't think it cured completely, which is fine. Just have to be a little more cautious with how you do things. Yeah, I can. The question is, can you let it sit? I can actually. Oh, I'm not gonna do that. I don't want to mess something up. Well, maybe I can. Does that work? Hey, that's pretty cool. So yes, can you let it sit longer to cure? You can, and you should. When I first started casting, I would like cast something and then that day start turning it. And I'm like, man, this stuff is soft. And I asked Brooks, actually, Brooks or James at the Pinsmiths, I don't remember, how long you're supposed to let it cure. And they're like, yeah, like several days. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. So I usually, like, this stuff's probably been sitting for a week. So it should be fully cured. You can also heat them, but I just don't get into that. Oops. Well, that's not helpful. Come on. What happened? There we go. Yeah, so you can and you should let it sit a little longer to cure. So I'm using just a simple water and dish detergent, dish soap mixture. I don't use any specific ratio. I'm usually pretty generous with the soap because that's cheaper than trying to use cutting fluid or anything more traditional. Downside is you got to keep the lathe dry, otherwise you get rust. So that's something you got to watch for if you do that. Yeah, don't want to fall down that rabbit hole. Me neither. See, as far as the fluid, I feel like it preserves the tools a bit longer. I mean, these are the same drill bits I've probably been using. True confessions here, probably 3, 4, 5 years. This one actually is a new one. I finally had to change it out, but I think it keeps everything cooler in there. Is it super effective? I don't know. It makes me feel like I'm doing something effective. Whether it actually does anything, who knows? So you do have to keep everything dry so it doesn't rust. That's important to me. I like my lathe clean. In fact, I got it all over the freaking chuck. That's not good. Sorry, I'm sure that sounded really great. And make sure get anything in there. Alright, so we're now on to, well, almost. Oops. So we're going to thread the inside here. Oh, good. I'm glad it wasn't too bad. I wasn't sure. I don't need to do that. Wasn't sure what it was going to be. Look at the microphone right over the lathe. All right, so that. So we'll clean this out real quick. Another thing I do is I don't even know what this thing's called, but it's just a tool. Make sure you get out any compressed resin, shavings, swarf. That'll affect fitting it on the mandrel. Yes, had a bunch of stuff down in there. All right. So I'm going to put the hole in the end for the live center when I'm turning it, and then we'll check the fitment of everything. You want to make sure not go too far, because then you end up, when you try to part it off at whatever your dimension is, you end up with a hole in the back. Ask me how I know that. Ha ha. Personal experience. All right, so that's the body. So see, you've got that shoulder in here. You can just snips right in there. It's a little tight threading at first. Once I polish and sand them down a little bit, it's gonna be a nice smooth fit. So that is what everything looks like right now. Body section ready to go. So now jump straight over to the cap without wasting any time. Slide that off just a bit. So all we're going to do is true up the blank and get straight to drilling. It needs a clip. I actually have some clips. I need to do a clip. I just haven't bothered. You gotta watch out. That's what I was afraid of. It's a little soft. I'm hoping. I did it the other day and it completely ruined the blank. It chipped off the end. It should be okay. It just means I'm not gonna have much to cut off on the other side. Ooh, it's pretty. I need to find. I threw a lathe in. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? There we go. See if I can show. Not very interesting. Well, the end of the blank looks really cool. You can't really see it, but alright, so that's that. Yeah, clips are a different animal. They're not terribly difficult so much, but I just, at least with my design for the Tucker, I haven't been able to come across one that's manufactured that works very well. I've toyed with the idea of making clips. I met with Tim Cullen with Hooligan Pins, and he was kind enough to walk me through some of the stuff he does, some of the tooling. I just haven't gotten into that because I feel like, to your point earlier, Kevin, that's a whole nother rabbit hole that I'm afraid if I got into, then I'm starting up that whole side of everything. I'm like, oh man, where's that gonna lead? So I haven't pulled that trigger yet. There's only so many rabbit holes you can go down. There's only enough time to do so many things. Because I know once I get in there, I'd probably enjoy it. And then that's a whole new thing I've got to deal with. Alright, so every pin I treat like it's the first time I've made it. I check all the dimensions. Come on. I'm pretty close on my tolerances. But I do. Here's that one. It was close. I'll try to as close as I can here. Yeah, the clip bender you can actually get from Harbor Freight. They have a metal brake, BRAKE, that you can use. It's just like I think it's like a 12 or 24 inch for bending metal, and that's what I would get to bend the clip. A little bit of oil on the end there. I even looked at what is it, Rio Grande? Oh, what's the Rio Grande something? And they provide a lot of jewelry tools. Like kind of the go-to. Looked at some hammers and stuff for texture, that kind of thing. Wasn't terribly expensive compared to getting into the fountain pen making to get kind of basics, but I just haven't done that yet. Plus that, and I don't have much more room in the shop. So that's the other challenge. All right. So that step was to get the threads ready, or kind of pre-threads, if you want to call it that. So we're going to check dimensions again. Always use a broad nib to make sure I've got enough clearance in case somebody does some kind of special stacked nib or something like that. Make sure there's enough room in there. There we go. So that is the end of that step. Use that. I'm going to go ahead and I don't know what I want to do here. Kind of clean that out. I think I got all that stuck in there. It's okay. Right. Good question. Am I going to get back into the podcast? I've had to take a break, as most people have already realized. I had to take a break from that just because my schedule hasn't worked. Because it is a pretty big commitment, and I just, with my day job, the office, spending time with my daughter, my wife, I was like, man, something has to give, unfortunately. And there's a lot of good things in life you can do, but you can't do all of them. So I kind of had to choose what was best, which was stepping back from that. Who knows if that changes in the future? Right now, that's where we're at. Oops, there goes the compressor. So hopefully in the future, maybe that'll change. Right now, it's just not what works. So I've resorted to doing this live streaming, which I've got a little flack for. Well, if you have time to live stream, why can't you do the podcast? Well, this is a little different because this is on my time. Not trying to coordinate schedules and what makes sense and all that stuff. And plus, I'm already out here making pins, so that's where it is. Whether people understand or appreciate that, it's not really for me to worry about. So what we're doing now, I flip the cap around and we're going to work on the finial coin. So I'm cutting off the cap to its final length, more or less. So we'll cut it to its final length, and then I'm going to cut the recess for the finial coin. Maybe. Come on. Yeah, Kevin, that's something I learned real quick becoming a parent. Is everybody wants to give you advice. This is the right thing to do. This is the right thing to do. And a friend of ours said it great. It's like whatever decision you make for your family is the right decision for your family, regardless of what somebody on the outside says. So it's kind of that way with the podcast. But, you know, this is what has to be done, and it may not make sense to everybody. But so I'm just going to cut. I've got a set of calipers. I've got adjusted to more or less the diameter I need. Just kind of eyeball it. Cut in a reveal. I also don't recommend doing what I'm doing right now, which is to get this to work so I can work on the end. I've got this loose. Don't recommend that. Because it takes one slip, you get into here, and everything goes to heck real quick. So try to be very careful. Keep it as far away as I can. Support it. If I don't do what I do, I can turn it up. So all I'm going to do is cut a little bit on the end. To get it started. I use an end mill to actually do the final cut. Should be good. So I'm just using an end mill that's about the size of the coin. But it started. So the reason I do it this way is because my lathe is not quite true. Since it's not a metal lathe, you can't adjust it. I've tried. So I get it started so I can kind of line it up the way I need it to. There we are. God, I think I got. Where did I get yellow dye from? Who knows? I got yellow dye all over me. Oh well. So this is a great technique. I can't take all the credit. This is Jonathan Brooks' idea. You get a nice flush recess for the coin. Now the next challenge is I still need, because I've cut this off as a final length, I still need a live center hole, a center drill hole for the live center to sit in. So I come back and I've got to drill that a little bit just to hold the end, but not punch through the actual cap. That should work. Oh, okay, let me. There we go. Perfect. No hole. So now I'm going to check the fitment of this one as well. Nice and clean. So you can see there, once it's in, it's like it's about 2 turns. Maybe not 1.5, depends. For you, full turn, maybe 2 1/4. But Definitely not as much as some. The triple start would be so much quicker, but I like the look of these single starts, and they polish a lot better. So yeah, there we go. So I think what I may do. Hey, thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. Trying to decide what I want to do next. I've got one I can sand and finish. It's funny. It's not complicated, but I hate polishing the threads. It's just my least favorite part. But man, does it look good. But to be true to my process, I can't really get ready to turn that one until they're polished. So I think we'll do what has to be done. So now we're going to get ready for that stage. Yeah, what's funny is this is kind of what I intended. I've had multiple people say I should do a class. This is kind of what I wanted the craft of analog to be, is the class kind of instruction type deal that people could come watch and learn, and whether they were interested in doing it themselves or just purely enjoyed watching the process, they'd have that option. So it's kind of what it's meant to be. All right, so what am I doing right now? So I've got, the polishing is it's an art. So hopefully I'm going to show you that right here. So it should help. This is just water with detergent, dish soap in it. That's all it is. That kind of helps with the keeping the sandpaper clean. So I'm going to set this up. That's what I need. I forgot. Ooh, don't mess up almost messed up the microphone. Okay. All right, I need that. All right. Truly, the sanding is not that difficult. I just don't like doing it. Let's see. Hey, Bruce, there's nothing wrong with kit pins at all. That's where I started. There's a lot of nice kits out there, too. Let's see. Oh, cool. Perfect. Yeah, the thread polishing is interesting. All right, so I'm trying not to cover up the camera, but so I'm just kind of lightly setting it up. Starting with, this is 800 right now. I also use, once I get to about 800, I'll use it to round edges off and such. It truly doesn't take that long to polish them. I just don't like doing it. All right. So I'm just quickly taking the edges off. I don't want to change too much of the diameter or the length of anything, because that'll affect the finished product. And I've started, not everything is on there, but I've got a link in my Instagram with all of the, any of the tools or kit that I use that's available on Amazon. So if you see anything here, it's probably on my list if you have a question. If it's not, ask me about it and I'll make sure I get it on there. A lot of the more critical tools, like turning tools and stuff, I don't buy from Amazon. I buy straight from the manufacturer or from like Woodcraft or Rockler. I don't trust where they're coming from on Amazon. Or Penn State Industries, that's another one I get my stuff from. Cool. So that takes care of the sanding. It's pretty simple, straightforward. I'm just sanding on about 650 RPM. Nothing too crazy. Oh, where's my thing? Excuse me. All right, so I'm gonna bump this up to 900. I'm going to use some compressed air, so I apologize for the eardrums. All right, so I'm at 900. I'm using Novus 3 and Novus 2 plastic polish, and just a little pin vise thing and some horsehair brushes. If you use synthetic, like I guess is it polyester, it'll actually destroy the threads, the heat and everything. So, and you don't have to be too crazy with this. Just working through, and you try and chase the thread with the brush. Just kind of gets in there, all the cracks and stuff, crevices. All the major cracks and crevices. That's pretty good there. You don't want to do too much. Kevin, yeah, they I think it's where I got them, is Amazon. It's like a box of like, I don't know how many. It's kind of ridiculous how many came in. I think I'm still using the same ones that I started with. I'm just using some gun cleaning cloths, little 2x2 cloths to get that compound in there. You want to just kind of take your time. Doesn't have to be too crazy. Oh my gosh, you bought 100? Good Lord. I don't remember what mine were. Definitely not 100. I think it was like 25 or 30 maybe. Right, so I'm just working that through. Getting on the back of the shoulder of the section. And then before you go to the next one, you want to make sure and polish off any of the excess. Otherwise, it's going to completely undermine whatever you're doing. I don't worry too much about what's in the threads. I've never been able to quite get the valleys of the threads totally clean. I'm sure over time, they'll kind of work themselves out. So we've done that. Now I'm gonna. That's crazy. Well, you're set for life on the horsehair brushes, I guess. On the Novus 2, I tend to go a little bit slower. That's really going to get in there and polish everything. That shoulder. Most of that shoulder is going to get cut away, but same thing, come back in here. Get everything polished in nice. The late Greg Hardy taught me something very valuable. Is you don't be stingy with your sandpaper. You want it to be fresh. So I apply that to even. Oops, what am I doing? I apply that to even the polish and the cloths. Like use as many as you need to get the job done. So I've always tried to follow that. The last step I'm using is Magic Juice from Stadium Pin Blanks. The last step, I think, is number 6. It's more of a cleaner, but it does, I don't know what it does, but it does something to really polish up that finish. At least I think so. There we are. So I actually need to clean that off. Perfect. So you can see comparison wise, hopefully that'll show the difference in the threads. I can't tell what's in focus or not. It makes a big difference on the look of them. Once everything's turned down, I'll do what's called lapping the threads, and I'll use the Novus 2 to mate these threads together. And they work really, really well. All right, so that's the section done. Go straight into the body of the pin. Same steps. It's a lot of repeat. I'm going to drop to 650 again, 630, 650. I'm not really particular about that. And again, not trying to take too much off of anything. I do try to make sure all the edges are rounded. Even on the threads here, I'm going to round those just a bit. Makes a difference when you're using the pin. Get the shoulder. Yeah. And just a little bit on the actual threads to knock that top edge off. They still got to remain functional, so I'm not too worried about. These I try to really make sure they look clean because these are going to be visible every time you use the pen. I should have said I'm using those 800,000 and 1500 grit sandpaper. It's just a 3M wet dry sandpaper. Just cleans up those threads. I'm going to jump up to 900 again. Thereabouts. I'm going to dry this thing off. I'm going to start back with the Novus 3. Cleaning up those threads. The shoulder, the relief. Once you got those done, now take and polish them. The one challenge with this type of YouTube channel is that mostly it's going to be the same thing all the time because it's a repeat. I do want to do one at some point going through. I had one when I did everything on Instagram. I had done one just showing all the tools that it takes to get into this. So I keep forgetting. I want to do one that's going to be like an update. Because that was, gosh, 8 years ago. No, that's not true. Probably more. Oops, I forgot. Darn it. Totally forgot. No. I need to do something else on here. Anyway, got distracted. Forgot to do the internals. What was I saying? I forgot. Yes, words. I want to do kind of an update on the tools that I use. That way there's kind of a record and people can see and ask questions. I think it'd be pretty good. What I forgot to do is I don't polish the inside, but I do kind of clean up any tool marks on that shoulder. And then same thing that I'm doing on the outside threads is on the interior, just kind of knocking the top off, the top edge, squaring them out a little bit. Because that also helps seat the threads properly when you're capping and uncapping, and it feels pretty good whenever you're doing that. I only do that with the 1000 and the 1500 though. Anything coarser than that, you're gonna have problems because it will actually tear them up pretty badly. There we go. Okay, now I have to clean all that up again. Lovely. What do I want to do? All right, we're back to 900. Now we're going to go back to the Novus 2. I don't have really a magic rhyme or reason how long I do it or when I stop. It's just kind of gut check of what makes the most sense. But yeah, at some point here in the near future, I'll do an update to the tools that I'm using. Because it's definitely changed. I was going to do like an actual recording and all this stuff, but I prefer to do it live actually. One, it's less work because it's just there it is. But I don't want to have to deal with video editing and stuff. We're just going to throw it up the way it is. and be done with it. Plus, it's more fun if I mess something up and it's recorded forever for everyone to see. Let's see, Kevin. What is your Instagram? I'm still learning everybody's handles. I'm sure it's different than what's on Instagram, like YouTube versus Instagram. Because I'm going to be horribly embarrassed if I'm not already following you. Yeah, the live is just a lot more fun. I mean, even though, like, right now, I've only got, I think you and Bruce are the only ones watching, but it's going to be terribly awkward if nobody was watching and I'm just sitting here talking to myself, but that's sometimes what happens. I'm hoping it'll eventually pick up, shifting from Instagram to here. Happy nerds. Okay. Oh, I think you said that. Oh, I thought you... See, I thought you said you are a happy nerd. But you are happy nerd. Now I get it. Okay. So we're going to go make sure. We're going to see. Ah, there we go. So it's happy nerds. Right? All right. I think we got it. Is it Happy Nerds EDC? Is it that? I guess it's Happy Nerds EDC. I'm assuming that's what it is. It's the only one coming up. So, all right, you are followed. I'm following you now. Ha ha ha. All right, now I'm stuck on Instagram. All right, off of Instagram, you're followed. Good to go. All right, these threads are good. So we're going to take this out. Still not done with this one. We got one more step on the inside. But I want to finish the cap first. Just put that there. The cap is a lot quicker because of pretty much all my Graphlex. Well, I've got one that's polished right now in the shop, but all my Graphlex going forward is just going to be matte finish. So I don't polish the end here. Because it's visible, a portion of it is, and so I like to make sure that matches the matte finish. So this one goes pretty quick. All right, so that's that. This thing, I should have mentioned, this is just a brass rod. I think I bought it at home, Hobby Lobby. Don't remember the size. I think it fits like a 5mm collet. And I just cut a slot in the end. Very sketchily. If you can find one that's already got a slot, that's even better, but I don't think they make them. Just to hold the sandpaper. So I'll use this for internal polishing as well as what I'm doing right now, just kind of softening out the insides. And you'll see, like, I didn't even spare the sandpaper. Like, as soon as I use it, I'm done. Yeah, Kevin, exactly. It's a gun polishing rod, essentially. Although I couldn't find one. Like I tried one at first, and I didn't like the way it worked personally, because of that plastic end, which is why I went to the. Oops, come on. That's not gonna work. Oh man. Um, but yeah, essentially, it's a gun polishing rod. No, that's not great. Come on. And you can even, I mean, you could find something bigger that would be easier to slot through here. But it depends on the design of your pen. And I've got, like on my Tucker 48, I've got a pretty small opening to fit through for the ink chamber. So I had to kind of size it based on that. Yeah, perfect. So that takes care of the cap. And so I got a couple more things to do. All right, so I'm throwing on the rod here. So what we're gonna do, where's my stuff? I like on the body, I like to be able, because when you're threading everything, you're assembling a pen, there's a little bit of friction depending, well, let me back up. The way I design the pen and the inside diameter, there's a little bit of friction when you slide it in with the converter and everything. And so what this is going to do is eliminate that. So there's not really anything special. No, that's not cool. Bruce, you're in Phoenix. My brother is in Maricopa. I think that's south of Phoenix, if I'm not wrong. I don't remember. Yeah, he lives in Maricopa. Probably not too far. So this is 400 grit, and now I'm jumping to 6. And that just kind of smooths out the insides. I'm going to do a little bit to the cap. That's pretty much it. Clean it out there. Probably, well, shoot, probably won't be able to tell. I should have done a comparison before and after, but it's just, it slips in super clean now. Even you can see the threading is a lot cleaner, and it's not even the final polish. Oops, there we go. So much cleaner. Fits in and out without much friction. So I'm gonna do a little bit on the cap, not too much. Okay, surprise, Phoenix. Yeah, I think Maricopa, I should probably know that, but he only moved out there a year ago. So this one's a little tricky because I don't want to mess up the threads. Same thing, just kind of softening it in case anything kind of rubs against. I don't want it to scratch anything. So yeah, you see I didn't do very much there. I should actually ask, how's the video and audio quality on y'all's end? I can see it on my end. I'm curious what it's like for y'all. I know YouTube is, well, I'm using StreamYard because it's pretty simple to stream, and I'm restricted to 720, so I know the quality is not super great, even though my camera is 24 something, 80. I don't think it's 4K, but yeah, Bruce, he is a little shocked by the summers. I mean, we grew up in Texas all our life, so we're used to heat and humidity, but not like that. So he's sending us snapshots of the weather where it's like 118 degrees over there. We're like, yeah, we don't even know what hot is. Let's see, Bruce, good. Kevin is great. Okay, good. I tried to set, I didn't want it to be too, because the mic I'm using is a Yeti mic. And I didn't want it to be too loud, but I want to make sure it's crystal clear. Because I've got it kind of positioned to where it's not right on top of me, because I do have to keep this area, open because I'm all around it. So, all right. So that's that. I need to wipe that off. 9 o'clock. That's probably going to be it. Ooh, gosh. Got this. It's probably going to be it, I think. Oh, yuck. That's the downside of using the water. I haven't cleaned this out in a little while. It's not great. But, so that is kind of the full process getting to be ready to turn. So that's what we've got going right here. Kind of covering everything up. So that, let's see, we started, that's not bad. So about an hour and a half. We went from the raw blank to prepped, polished, ready to turn. Honestly, I could probably just turn it. Won't take much longer. What do y'all think? I'm pretty keen to see what this looks like, so I may just jump into it and turn it. Y'all hung on this long, so what's a little more, right? I'm going to get rid of the water. Don't need that anymore. Yeah, 9 o'clock's my bedtime, so I'm usually in bed by now. But I had a pretty big coffee as a reward for getting through the week, so I'm kind of wired. All right, so I think we're gonna do this. If y'all are game, I'm game. All right, we're here. Let's do it. Everything's prepped. It should get interesting because if it's still soft, that's going to present some challenges, but we'll get it going. Let's do it. All right, let me clean up over here. My tools. think we're golden. We are ready to go. How's my computer doing? Yeah, it's pretty good. All right. So we are just gonna dive right in, I think. I have yet to. Oh shoot! I need to. I forgot. I need to be. It's kind of hard, you know, sitting here turning, and I'm supposed to be taking pictures and video to post on Instagram. So bear with me. The light's gonna change a little bit. I keep forgetting. I'm the worst when it comes to marketing my own stuff. I'm just like, I'd just rather make it, not even worry about it. So I'm over here videoing stuff so I can post it to Instagram. There. Okay, we're good. Now we can do it. All right, we're turning at 24:30, give or take, somewhere around there. Not too particular. I do think my cutter. Let's see. Interesting mandrel. Yeah, I don't know if I'm the king of mandrel making, but I'm very specific on what I want. That's why I love the Delrin because it just holds up really well, especially when my lathe is not true. Uh, it'll hold up and kind of flex with whatever I make it do. But my cutter's on its way out, and I haven't sharpened it, so we'll see what happens. So I've not seen what this material looks like. There's a very different approach to how I cast it. So we're going to see what happens. There we go. There's the edge. Should be pretty special, hopefully. It was a nightmare to pour because I was really pushing the envelope on the temperature. So hoping we don't end up with any air bubbles. Alright. Here we are. Let's see what this is. Ooh, that's pretty. Oh yeah, that's going to be nice. So basically what I did is the colors that I use in my Graphlex, I doubled up on. A couple different tones of each one. So it's really, really cool. I think that just loosened up. Okay, we're still good so far. I think that's loose now. Yep. See, it's too soft. The problem is then too, it kind of bows a little bit, so be careful. Ooh, that is beautiful. Very cool. I love it, love it, love it, love it. A little more to go to get the profile just right. Yeah, see, my cutter is long overdue to get sharpened. So I'm setting up the overall dimension, getting the proportion right before taking it down to final. I need to see, I felt something. No, good, no bubbles. So that's good. At least not yet. The size I'm turning down to. So for this design, like I usually keep a millimeter on either side of the cap thread, so like 15 millimeter. I've got 17 here, and then at the end 14. That's just the ratios I came up with that worked with the design. And then on the cap side, I also keep a millimeter here, millimeter on the other side of the body. So it puts us at 19, and then 3 down is 16 here. So it's more or less just what worked for. So we're getting close. Double check here where I'm at. There. Right. So I've got the profile correct. Use a machinist square. We're pretty close. So now it's going to be about getting the final diameter down. Oh yeah, it's a big boy. I've debated going to 16s, but that's just a little challenging. Let's see, regular and negative rake. Put that up there just to play around with this. I think it's just regular. I don't have a negative rake. It's just these are Robert Sorby Turnmaster tools. I've had these for years. I just sharpen the cutters. I have some new cutters that I'll change out, but I just keep sharpening them with a diamond card. So I think they're just standard. Haven't had really any issues. At least not yet. They're not great on wood. I've tried to use them before on wood, and they're not very good. All right, so we're getting close. That is really, really something. Love the way that's turning out. Oops, really? I'm gonna live. I mean, this is the perfect diameter, but this is still off down here, so Now the challenge is to keep it level but not cut that top end. I think this should be the final cut. I'm going to check that here. Yep, perfect. So now what I'm going to do, check the levelness, because it's a straight taper. Once we get there, I'm going to file it down, take off any last valleys, or ridges, not valleys. These are good. Oh yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. Whew. That is. I may have to do all these this way now. It's made my life so much harder. That's okay. I'm gonna cut this thing off. One thing about staying up late when you have kids, at least young ones, is I forget that she's gonna be up at like 6 in the morning. That's what coffee's for, right? I'm using my diamond tool, my diamond carbide. Start parting this thing off. The final length. I have a flat finial on my Tucker. So we're just kind of slowly taking off, but making sure that I keep everything nice and square. You only get one shot at this. Once that thing comes off there, you kind of get what you get. There it goes. You have to be really gentle at this stage. If you hook it, everything's done. Yeah, exactly. Coffee triple shot. All right, so there. That's the body. You have to tell me if that's in focus. I hope it's in focus, but I can't tell. Pretty slick. So that's the body. Cap goes pretty quick because it's a pretty. I keep the diameter pretty large. So I make sure this is just hand tight. You don't want it to be too loose. Oh, good. It's in focus. Good. I can't tell. This thing has a great focus depth of field on it, but that's really why I switched from Instagram to YouTube, to be able to control that quality. Plus, you can go landscape. I mean, trying to work on a long linear lathe in portrait mode is not super helpful. I kept hoping they would eventually change that, but it's not within. It's not in their agenda, I guess. All right, not too fast. I'm going to stay away from the end because it's more or less the diameter I need. And just start cutting into the rest of the cap. Just kind of following the profile with my eye. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I agree. Instagram is great. And the nice thing about Instagram is you can set up, go live, and move on. You didn't have to have all the equipment, but you're just really restricted. It was hard to engage. Like, I would have to have a camera set up here, another one set up over here so I could see what's going on, have a separate account to monitor it, so I could actually talk to people. And then Instagram changed it so I couldn't see who was actually on anymore. That's kind of what it was like, well, you keep fighting something that's not going to ever change, or do you adapt yourself? So I was like, well, I'm going to, because this year I've made my theme for this year all about improvement. And that every area of my life, whether it's physically, health, faith, like religious faith, any of that. And just really making a focus to improve and do things that improve. So I was like, well, now's the chance to improve that part. All right, so we're still good there. So we're going to keep going. Got a little bit more. We're almost there. I think it was a little too much, but here we go. Almost. A little bit more. I'm going to file this puppy down. A little bit there. I want to check the final profile, make sure it's pretty good. I'll take it. That dimension. I'll sort it out with the sanding. Cool. So I'm going to test something. You guys tell me where we're at. How close can I get and it still be in focus? That looks out of focus. I'm assuming that's out. I'm probably right, maybe here. I think I'm messing up the focus. There we go. I bet that's in focus. Maybe. I can hold it straight. Maybe a little farther back. I guess I could use the portrait. Wouldn't that be cool if I did it that way? Ha! So if we go here, is it in focus? I'm curious. Is that out of focus? Huh, wow. Okay, so right about here, that's good to know. So that, because from my screen, it looks blurry, but let's see, now out. So farther, I think here, I think it's trying to pick me up is the problem. I need like a good backdrop, and I don't have anything. That's the problem. Oh well, I'll sort something out. I think it's because it's picking up my hands. I need like a backdrop to make it stand out a bit more. I need like a cardboard box. I don't have anything. Oh well, I'll figure something out. But anyway, that's what that looks like. Pretty cool. Yeah, it's probably like picking up my hand or something. The lathe cover. Oh, that's true. Maybe that'll do it. Let me see what happens. You gotta hold that dumb thing up though. That's a real pretty backdrop. How about that? There we go. Well, real professional here. How does that look? Then I gotta try and hold this thing and yeah, we're super professional over here. That might work though. Something like that. It seems like it might focus. If I get my hands out of the way. Oh wow. Anyway, I'm embarrassing myself now. Cost effective, exactly. All right, so last piece, last but not least, and then this bad boy is ready for bed because I'm an old man. Not really. I act like it though. I'm like, it's bedtime. Like 9:30. My wife's gonna be like, "What are you doing? It's bedtime." I don't get to be very creative at my job as much anymore, like I used to be. So this is my therapy. It's my therapy. All right. I wanted to do an accent piece to match this section, like a complementary color or the same mix of the blues. I didn't have time, so it's going to be a matchy-matchy, which is fine. It'll be all right. All right, let's dig in. I'll be curious what this looks like, because on the ends, when I cut the piece, the end didn't really show much figure. I'll be curious if it's mostly the Graphlex or if it's got some color once we get it down to diameter. Well, it's got a little bit, maybe mostly Graphlex. We shall see. Yeah, see, right now it's nobody's. This is just a I had the idea for the material and we did it. I've got a few commissions I'm working on, but not I don't really keep too many commissions on hand. Mostly because I like to be flexible with I like to be flexible with what I'm working on. I do, even if I have commissions, I will sometimes put those on hold. If I have ideas I want to explore, like I'm going to be working on a new version of the Tucker 48. It'll kind of simplify it a little bit, but it'll it's gonna be a little more complex to make, but it'll be simple, if that makes any sense. Alright, cool. I'm wondering if there's a limit to how long I can do this. This is the longest I've actually done. Which is funny because on the back end, it's like then people kind of fade out when they try to watch it after. Like, whoa, this thing went on for like 2 hours. What? Because we're at 2 hours now. You guys are awesome for sticking around. I haven't been super effective at keeping the YouTube thing going. I did like one video and then disappeared for a month. No, that's pretty cool. It's like super dark and then woof. I like it. So got a ways to go. I didn't check the back. We're close. We're close. We're close. Ooh, I don't like that. What happened? Golly. So that's where that needs to be. I need to work on the front. A little better. See what that does. That's good there. A little more on the front. I appreciate it, Kevin. I definitely appreciate it. is good. That'll work. I still don't like what I'm seeing. That's better. We'll do it. All right. So now we do the full test. Everything assembled. So you can see once it's there, boom. Get right there. See how easy that threads? It's pretty cool. So that's what the polishing, all that does to get it ready. Check the fit. Yep. Same thing here. Once it's in there, well, not quite there yet, but you get the idea. Yeah, so that fitment's perfect. So there it is. You see that material? The section's pretty cool. I like that. You can see like it's got a lot of dark and then these streaks that come through. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so I'm really happy with that. I'll have to come up with a good name for the material because I've already got a Graphlex turquoise or Graphlex turquoise. I guess it's more teal. I even call it teal. I guess it's like a teal blue. So let's see. Yeah, Kevin, I definitely recommend the single start to anyone that asks. The triples are great in terms of replicating what kind of the commercially made pins have, but I feel like they show a lot better. When I did do triple starts for a while, but I could never get a clean cut. Especially once I started polishing, there wasn't much you can do with the triples, unfortunately. So, well, I did the singles, and that's where I kind of, if you do a combination of the shoulder here, if you can see that right in there, and a smaller, I wouldn't go less than 7 millimeters. Some people have done 5 and done pretty good. I feel like there's not, especially my design, there's not enough. If I took 2 millimeters off, there's no way that's going to work. But if you have that, you can kind of see that gap. It's very minimal. I usually try to have about 2 millimeters gap, and then it just threads a lot quicker. You get any longer than 7 millimeters, in my opinion, for that shoulder piece, the cap threads, and then you're kind of do forever just to cap or uncap. But I feel like that's pretty easy throw to get it done. So yeah. So that's what it looks like. Nice rest right in the palm. I will say all my pins are pretty much sized for me, is what I base the proportions off of. So they are pretty specialized to what I like. Ironically, I still have not made myself a pin. The last one I was going to make myself, I sold it. So, but yeah, so they are a little bit larger, but this section here allows you to hold right up here if you want to hold further back. And these threads And the shoulder, even once I sand it down, are not going to really inhibit anything because you're missing that. So you can pinch as close as you want or back up. Gives you nice control here to be able to do that. So that's going to be it, I think, for this round. So I've got two. I'll pull the other one I've got going here, show you all. This one's another brand new Graphlex that I hadn't done before. I'm going to pull this one up. The teal black hole. Nice. I like that idea. We call it the teal black hole, but it's got to have Graphlex in it. All the names have Graphlex. Yeah, this is the other one I'm doing right now. It's another new one. This one I actually had the Graphlex, but 3 different colors. So a yellow, green, and a teal. So that's the other one that's going. And then this one I did have a color matching teal in here, so I did a complimentary section on that. Same deal, same design. All my tuckers. You can go back and forth wherever you need to grip it. With that, so I've got a couple of other, I don't know if I'll make them this weekend. There's a theme in my work. I like blues and greens. So I've got this one that is a Graphlex teal, turquoise rather. So I may work on that one next. I've got another one. I've already done this one before. The green. It's like a nice jade green. So those are kind of the next 2, but I really wanted to get these done. So I may do one more tomorrow. And then these will probably be up on the website this weekend. So now that that's done, got to kind of set up. Always like, before I move on to the next project, clean up the lathe, get it ready for the next one. Let's see. Let's see, am I going to leave it matte or polished? No, I'm going to leave it matte finished. So all the Graphlex I do, I have one in the shop right now that's polished. I'm kind of regretting it, but it is what it is. But everything I'm doing with the Graphlex now is matte. Simply because it just looks really good. Now, I can show you those polished. I can cheat a little bit. Let me do this. Oh, I mess up the lathe. Hey man, we got 5 people watching. That's the most I've ever had. That's pretty cool. So the other 3, well, I think there's 3 already, or 2 or 3. So do that, protect the lathe a little bit. So I have a little cheater. There's a little cheat. If you spray some soapy water on these things, it'll kind of give an idea of what it's going to be polished. So I'm just going to do that. Now, it's going to look really, really cool. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like you get a better sense of the texture. So that's what it is, kind of polished. So the nice thing about the matte finish is you don't get distracted by the light reflecting off and you see the actual colors and separation and stuff. So it definitely looks cool. I'm going to spray the other one. The other reason is I'm lazy and the matte finish is much easier. I'm not really lazy. I'm far from it. But and then that's what that one looks like. Oops, let's get back here. So it definitely makes the colors pop a lot more, but you miss a lot of the intricate detailing of the patterns. So if I'm doing a commission and they want it polished, of course I'll do that. But if I'm doing it just as a spec pen to put on my website. And I'm going to do matte finish. Now, like my Tucker 48s, I'm going to use like some kind of clear material. That's always going to be polished. It's really the only way to do it for the 48s. Again, by request, if I get a matte finish one, I'll do that. But typically I'm doing internal polish, the full bit. All right. So I think that's it. We had 5 people watch total. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty pleased with that. That's the most I've ever had. So, Bruce, Kevin, I know you guys have stuck with me the whole stream, so I appreciate it. The whole almost 2.5 hours. Man, I didn't even cough, so that's good. I'm still got my water, which is a little parched, but yeah, so cool. Well, I think that's going to conclude it for this episode of the Craftive Analog. Be sure, if you're just new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, follow along, like the video. I don't really announce with too much warning when I'm going to stream because it's pretty sporadic. So if you miss the live stream, of course, it's going to be posted on the page, the Craftive Analog. And be sure to check out my Instagram if you're on Instagram, Jason Neal Penworks. I know that's confusing with the names, but I wanted to kind of keep those separate. But Jason Neal Penworks on Instagram. Website is jasonnealpenworks.com. You can see what's available, either materials that I make, the pens that are available. Usually release something every month, maybe a few in between. But that's pretty much it. I'm an open book. If you have questions about what I do, making the fountain pens with the materials, hit me up. Either email jasonnealpenworks@gmail.com or Instagram. I will get back to you as soon as I can. So, cool. Bruce, thank you, sir. Have a good night. Kevin, appreciate it. I'm Jason with Jason Neal Penworks signing off. Maybe I might be back on here tomorrow, actually. If I feel up to it, we'll give it another go. So I'll announce it on my Instagram if I do. So yeah, thanks y'all. Appreciate it. Happy turning, happy writing, and I will catch y'all later.